Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. As the introduction to this video has shown, since Christians insist that belief in Jesus is the only way to salvation, this naturally raises the question about the fate of humans who lived before Jesus' birth or his alleged death and resurrection. There is an answer to the question in 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 6, which states that Jesus also preached to the dead. Problem solved, right? Well, not quite. First, there is the problem of how to interpret 1 Peter 4 6. If we go to the early church fathers, the majority view seems to have been that the reference to the quote dead was about Gentiles who lived in the time of Jesus and his apostles. The book Ancient Christian Commentary on Scripture, Volume 11, provides several patristic commentaries on this verse. For example, Clement of Alexandria commented that the verse was referring to, quote, those who abandoned their faith in this life. Hilary of Arles said that the gospel was preached to the Gentiles who were dead in sin, thus not literally dead, although he did offer the other interpretation as well. Andreas agreed with the first interpretation, that the word dead was a metaphor for Gentiles who were dead in their sins. And the Venerable Bede explained that these Gentiles were dead because of their major crimes, which included idol worship. But there were other church fathers who interpreted 1 Peter 4 6 as referring literally to the dead. Both Oecumenius and Theophylact said that the dead were those who had passed on to the afterlife. Theophylact specifically referred to them being, quote, shut up in hell. Even though this view appears to be in the minority, let us assume it is the correct one. This leads to the second problem, one that arises from a logical analysis. If Jesus descended into hell, or Hades, to preach to the dead, would this not include all the tyrants, polytheists, and idol worshippers, as well as the righteous people of the past? So, did the Pharaoh of the Exodus also hear Jesus preach? What about Antiochus IV, the guy who persecuted the Jews in the 2nd century BCE, placed a pagan idol on the site of the Jewish temple, and even saw himself as a god? Or what about the rich man from Luke 16, who died and was being tormented in hell? Did they all hear Jesus preach? If yes, wouldn't these tyrants and sinners essentially be getting a second chance at salvation, something that people who lived after Jesus would not get? In fact, 1 Peter 3 18 through 20 confirms this. It states that Jesus proclaimed to the spirits in prison because they formerly did not obey God. In his commentary on this verse, Cyril of Alexandria explained that Jesus preached to those who were in hell, appearing to them as one soul to other souls. When the gatekeepers of hell saw him, they fled. The bronze gates were broken open, and the iron chains were undone, and the only begotten Son shouted with authority to the suffering souls. He preached to those who were in hell also, so that he might save all those who would believe in him. For both those who were alive on earth during the time of his incarnation and those who were in hell had a chance to acknowledge him. What this means is that for the vast majority of human history, people lived and died without having any clue that salvation could only occur when God would, quote, incarnate as a human to die for their sins. And when they did die, they went to Hades until such time as Jesus appeared to preach to them. And this would apply to the whole world. People from Africa, Asia, and Australia, Europe, and North and South America had no idea about any of this. And they all went to Hades. At this point in their existence, they would all know that there is an afterlife and a heaven and hell. They would also know that there is only one God and that their gods were false. Imagine being one of these people, languishing in Hades, and then all of a sudden one day a man appears and offers you a way to heaven, some people would be in torment, as according to Luke 16, there is a great chasm between the side of anguish and the side of comfort. Think about this. If you had been burning in the flames of Hades for centuries, and then a man appeared and offered to pull you out, would you be stupid enough to remain in agony instead of accepting the offer? If Christians think that the answer is yes, that it is possible, they are insulting their own intelligence and ours. Logically speaking, it is highly probable that when Jesus preached to the dead, all of the dead believed in him. As a result, it is conceivable that right now in heaven, both the Pharaoh and Antiochus IV are reigning with Jesus, while a good person who dies in the year 2022 but did not believe in Jesus will go to hell for eternity. The dead from before the year 32 or 33 CE got a second chance, one that people like us, who had the unfortunate fate of being born after Jesus, will never get. This is fundamentally unfair and unjust, and exposes a major flaw in Christian soteriology. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وقل جاء الحق وزهق الباطل إن الباطل كان زهوقا